Hello, Beez Bladers, and welcome newcomers to the channel. If you just found Beez Blades and you like weekly knife content, unboxings, overviews, reviews, etc., you've definitely found a knife channel to add to your list. Make sure and follow me on Instagram at Beez Blades, and you can support the channel and help with giveaways, shipping costs, etc. by joining me over there on Patreon. I will put links in the description to everything, of course. I sat down to take this apart and I was like, hey, you know what? I might as well put this on video and share it. So I'm going to have you guys go along with me to see what's inside this knife. I have to say, I just really do have to say that as far as a knife that you pull out of your pocket, use it, and put it away. Oh, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. That's just a side note. So how are we going to do this? I already know because I checked. The pivot is going to be a T10. And body screws are going to be a T6. I already know that much. And I don't have any fancy equipment. I don't have the Weehaw or anything like that. You know, maybe as we go along. I keep wanting to get some new stuff, but when I have money, I always buy it on a knife. Now, maybe once the channel gets a little more support, I get a knife here or there to review, then I'll be able to, you know, get some nicer stuff. But for right now, what I have works just fine. All right, let's go ahead and get inside here and see what we're looking at. Okay, that's coming out, no problem. And you can see we got blue Loctite, which means you want to put blue Loctite on it when you put it back together. And I always put my screws in line with how I take them out. That way I put the same screw back in the same hole. Let's see how this is going to come out. Nice. Okay. So far so good. How long is this puppy? That's what she said. You know, I have to say, guys, I am really excited about doing this knife thing with you guys, and I am just blown away at the knife community in general. Just how friendly and how nice everyone is and supportive. I mean, it is amazing how supportive everyone is of each other. It just blows me away. You know, before I took this apart, I couldn't tell if there was a seam in there. I was like, is this thing going to come apart? But now I'm starting to see the seam show. So these screws are just not wanting to pop out real easy. But you know what? I think they're just going to come out with the scale. So let's just do that. If they do, it'll make it that much easier on me. Let's see what we're looking at here. Oh yeah, okay. So this top is popping off for me. Popping right off. Okay. Well, that doesn't look too hateful. My screws stayed right in there, so I'm going to leave them. Talk about making that easy on me. Oh, yeah. Cool. Let's see what we got here. Well, there's plenty of lube in there. Now, I don't think I'm going to have to do a whole lot. You know, sometimes you get a knife and it's really dirty. Oh boy, did you hear that? Man, I just heard a spring go flying, and now I'm going to have to go searching for it. Oh, boy, did I luck out. Man, oh man, I was not prepared. And you know what? I even knew there was a spring in there and told myself to be careful, and still forgot. And this thing went flying, and that's a heavy-duty spring. I'm going to put him right up here where I don't lose him. Boy. I even told myself before I did this, be careful. You know there's a spring in there. Did I? Nope. Pating! So, quick note. If you go to take it apart, let's see what we're looking with. Okay, so you guys can see, here is your cage ball bearing. That's what that looks like. Just to give you an idea what that looks like. And as far as here's your locking mechanism. I think you can see this. So when you pull this back, it allows your knife to close. And then when it pulls itself shut, and it locks right there. So that's how the inside of this works. And then when you pull this open, it allows it to swing freely and then flies up here because this spring is inside here. So I'll put that back in when I'm done. And that spring, as you can tell, it's going to have plenty of tension. And I'm going to put that spring up there so I don't lose it. But when you pull the shark lock back, it allows it to close. And the second it gets to about here, that spring goes flying up and locks it shut. That's the shut position. So doing it this direction, in case if it makes more sense, you pull your shark lock back and you can open the knife. And this flies up because there's a spring in here that makes that fly up and keep it locked. So there's your locking mechanism. That's what it looks like on the inside. And then it's shut. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right. It's not a super duper complicated thing, but I bet you it was complicated to come up with. And I'm going to get a little bit of alcohol here and just clean this off a little bit. Nothing like a little alcohol to clean things off, right? It's really not that dirty. Got some dust and stuff in here, that pocket lint and that sort of thing. There's really not much dirt to speak of in here. But as I was trying to say earlier, before my spring went flying and I about had a heart attack, I'm really having fun doing this. You know, I love knives and knife collecting and messing around with knives, and I figured, hey, there's a benefit of having you guys with me to share, because I like to talk. I like to share knowledge. Anytime I learn anything new, I like to share it with folks. Oh, make sure I'm getting in the view here for you guys. Let me zoom in for you. But anytime I learn something new, I like to share it. Get him out of there. So this is a way for me to do that. And of course, there's a benefit in it. And there's a benefit. Okay, now. There's a benefit for everybody. In that, in the future, hopefully I'll get to see more knives and have more knives to mess around with. And I'll be able to give knives away. That is darn exciting. I'm really not having to clean much off here. But, yeah, that is really exciting. So I'm going to put this bad boy back like I found it. Now, just to show you, all I do is I put a little bit of, this is KPL knife pivot lube. It's a like 10 weight. And I do have a link for this in the description. If you want to get some for yourself, you can use coupon code Beez Blades. And all I do is just put a little bit on here. And I did learn this from the Shabazz man. And you can also get these little things, these little cleaners. Okay, can we focus? My focus needs more focus. You can get these little cleaners from KPL also. And they are good for cleaning the inside of things, spreading that KPL. You do not need much of it at all. You just need a tad. A little bit goes a long way. I mean, a little dab will do you. Like, I'm just barely touching a couple spots on here. And that's it. And that's all you need. But these things, I am finding them useful for getting in there and kind of spreading the KPL around. And see how this isn't tight? So everything can move in there pretty nicely. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. You know what? Just for giggles, I'm just going to put a little bit around here. And see, that was just a drop. To give you an idea, this bottle is going to last you a long time. And they also have the heavy knife pivot lube, which is, if you have a detent, it's really good to put on the detent ball. But we don't have that. So That's not going to be a thing. Let's see how we're looking here. How we looking? So far, so good. All right. Not too shabby. But I was saying, I just really have to say, I am just totally impressed with the whole knife community. You know, I go on there to the live streams from you different guys like Knives Fast and Neves Knives and all you guys, and I get on there and everyone's like, "Hey, Beez Blades, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey," and it is really cool. You know, it is a family, and I just I don't know how to express that any better than it is just so neat that everybody treats everybody like family and everybody gets along really well. And I'm making sure I'm putting this back together. Pretty sure how I found it. You know, if I end up putting these backwards, it's not like this knife was hard to take apart. We'll find out here in a second. When I put it back together, it'll be like, "Wah, what did you do?" All right, so there's that. So am I missing anything other than spring? I don't think so. Now, let's see if we can get this spring in here without it taking off. Oh, boy. What's going to be the most relaxed position for the spring? Looks like that. Oh, see, I should have taken it. Okay, there's a hint for you. When you take it apart, and hey, maybe I should have known this. I'm not a pro. I'm just sharing what I'm learning, right? When you take it apart with the knife open. That's going to be, looks like the most open for the spring. Now, I'm going to get a hold of this spring in the center just so I don't flick it and lose it. Because would you believe I am in my garage? This spring could have went anywhere, and this could have been a tragic situation. It could have been bad. I'm keeping my finger there because I don't trust myself. Don't you go anywhere. You stay put. All right. So is everything going to slip back on where it came from? Yes, it is. Going back on nicely? Certainly, it can't be this easy. I mean, sometimes I go to disassemble a knife and it is just a pain in the derriere. This one, thus far, is not giving me a lot of problems, which, you know, I probably shouldn't have spoke because that means there's going to be something go wrong. But I'm just, this is what I typically do, is I'll just get the screws to the spacers very, very lightly, just with 2 fingers, because if it starts giving you any pressure back, stop and go backwards, back out. You want to make sure you don't strip these little T6 screws. You want to make sure it goes in with no issue. Like, I am really careful. I do not want to strip a screw. Just like this one here is not wanting to go in like I want it to. I'm not going to pressure it. I'm going to make sure I'm lined up really well, because I do not want to strip a screw on this knife. Okay, it seems like things are going in all right. All right, I'm just going to leave these loose for a second. I know everybody's lining up. I'm going to put my pivot in because I like to tighten down the pivot first. And something I did not do was I didn't put any Loctite on these. I might take these back out and put Loctite on them. But you know what? They're not even coming out when I'm pulling on them. So I don't think that Loctite's going to be needed for these. So I'm not going to. But I am going to use a little bit on my pivot because there's already some on the pivot. I'm going to clean the pivot off real quick and get this moving right along so you guys don't have to watch too much longer. We're already at 14 minutes, so I'm going to speed up the action. Less talky. And all I do is just put a little bit. You don't need much. Just a little bit. I clean it off a little bit with my fingernail. Kind of rushing this a little bit. But, you know, knowing me, I'll probably take it apart again just for practice. But just a tiny, tiny little bit. And I wish I had, that's all I'm putting on there, which is almost too much. I just barely dipped it in a drop that I put there. And this is the liquid. I wish I had the, that stick, the tube stick. that I see everyone using, but I don't. And I have the feeling I put this back together a little off. We shall find out very shortly. It doesn't feel like it's tight like it should be. I probably have some, let's see what the, we might be all right. And we'll find out here in just a second. You know, I've never taken this apart before, so let's see what it looks like. Will she go back together? You know, knowing me, I probably reversed the darn okay, that's going in all right. I'm just going a little bit at a time. That one is not wanting to seed in there. Is this one? That one is. This one is wanting to be a little bit of a pain. So I'm going to have to take it apart and figure out why that one is not wanting to go in there like the rest of them. I am not going to force it. Not going to force it, but for the purpose of, yeah, look at that. I am not going to force it. So I'm going to have to take it apart and figure out what the deal is with that screw not wanting to line up. It looks like it's going to be easy to get centered. Boy, I mean, the tolerances on this thing are pretty good. But that gives you an idea of taking it apart. And like I said, I'm not going to waste your guys' time while I take it apart again to figure out why this isn't going in. But I am not going to press my luck with a screw that does not want to go in. You can see these other guys are going in flat. So, if you're still watching, please support Beez Blades by giving this video a thumbs up, smash subscribe, hit that bell button and select all so you get notified when new content is posted. I really appreciate the likes and everybody that comments on the videos. I'm going to take this apart real quick. And if you'd like to stick around, you can, to see if I can figure out what the problem is. Otherwise, please don't cut yourself. And I'm going to keep this video rolling, and hopefully it doesn't take too long. But I want to figure out why my screw is not cooperating. And this is what you deal with when you take knives apart. You have to deal with this kind of issue. So what seems to be the problem? So this is the guy that's not wanting to go in. Oh, we do have blue Loctite on here. These screws don't want to come out of that scale at all. Okay, there we go. All right, so I am gonna, you know, and I probably should have done this the first time, but I didn't want to take too long on a video, and maybe that was my mistake of trying to rush, because everyone's like, oh, you should make it 10 minutes. It only should be 10 minutes. Well, you know, maybe not. Maybe not. All right. Maybe I was just hitting some Loctite on there. But I'm going to clean these off real quick. And like I said, hey, you know, you don't have to stick around for the whole thing. And I'm going to end up taking this apart again. But in the interest of time, I was trying to brush it just a little bit. You know, this is the first time I've ever done a disassembly actually on video, and tried to make sure I'm in focus and let you guys see what's going on while all at the same time. I'm going to see real quick what happens when I try to put him in there. Do we have an issue? Is that just Loctite, or do we have a problem with the threads? You know, I think this might just be a thread or a Loctite issue. Yes, that's extra Loctite on there. There's plenty of extra Loctite, and I'm going to have to get that off. That's what our problem is. So if you see here, there's a lot of Loctite on there, and that's what's stopping me, and I'm not going to force it. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video now, but you guys get a good idea of what we're dealing with, I'm going to have to get this Loctite off, especially this screw, because he does not want to go back in. And let's see what happens if I try to use this other one in the same hole. What's going to happen? Looks like just about the same, but it's just going to be a tight fit. Nothing looks like it's messed with, so I think we're going to be okay. So there's half your knife. But remember, don't cut yourself, and tell me what you think about this video. Should I have continued for another 10 minutes putting this back together? And I'm guessing the answer would probably be yes. But I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'll be right back. All right, so I cleaned them off a little bit. I think I got the majority of that Loctite off just for the purpose of this video, and so you guys can see what she looks like going back together. Let's see what happens here. Like I said, I'm no Shabazz, and I've definitely never done this on video, so that's nice and smooth. Other than that screw just making me nervous, and I'm telling you just from experience, if you get a screw that you just can't easily see how that is going in with just me barely touching it, that is nice. This one here, I thought I had it cleaned off, but it's not cleaned off as well as I hoped. Man, I'm telling you what, Demko, they definitely went nuts with the Loctite. Definitely. So let's see, how does she feel? Oh, okay, there we go. That's what the problem was. It was just too much Loctite gooped on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out and get a little bitty wire brush and clean it off, and then just put a tiny little bit of Loctite on there. Okay. Whew. So that right there actually was a perfect example. If you start to get anything that is harder than just using a couple of fingers to easily see, just barely touching this driver bit, don't do it, because that's how easily you can strip the screws. You know, you hear everyone say, oh, I wish they didn't have T6s. Well, there's reasons why. So just tightening these down just barely, just enough with 2 fingers. That's all you want. Just a couple fingers. Okay, and let's see what we're looking like here. Man, it centers right up. Is it going to lock like it's supposed to? Yes. And look at that. Let's back out just a little bit. How are we looking? Man. Okay. So my whole point here was I wanted to share with you guys so you could see what the inside of it looked like, and that was pretty fun, letting you see the nervousness and the sweat just about drip off my brow when that spring took off, and then I started to put that screw in and it didn't want to go in, but no worries. It was just a little extra Loctite on there. So now we're all back together and looking good. There we go. So I'll try this one more time. I hope you enjoyed taking this bad boy apart with me. Let me know what you think about the knife or the video, or if you like disassemblies, or if you'd like to see me try this again. Have a happy and relaxed rest of your day. And remember, don't cut yourself.